Welcome back. This is another episode, and I'm wearing this hat again. And that's right, folks. Today, on the behind the scenes podcast that this is, we're going to be talking about screenings. So, we have a lot of fun tales from our film World War III The Aftermath, which came out 10 years ago. And we're starting at the end, I guess, because we're talking about the screening. But it was the first screening we ever did, and it was quite a mess. But it's a good thing we went through it, because we learned a lot from that experience, and it's something I like to look back on, because the tech we were using at the time was so cumbersome, and I'm proud of how far we've come since then in establishing simplicity of setting up screenings, because I've set up pop-up screenings in many film locations since then, and I've used all those experiences to make them go smoothly, but we had to start somewhere.
And on top of that, too, the disaster that this one was also makes it hilarious.
Yeah. So let's get into it, folks. Now, it was April 2016. Weather was getting warmer outside. And we had just finished our senior year production of Joseph at a high school.
Yeah, that's right.
And we had also finished a film and we were ready to screen it. So Tyler reserved us the location for the screening, a little open hall space in the north side of the housing complex where he lived, and we secured the venue, but of course we had to provide all the equipment. So you rented a projector at the time, well, not rented, I guess borrowed. You borrowed a projector at the time, and I provided the sound equipment and the computer and everything, but I didn't have a laptop back then, and this film was in 5.1 surround. At the time, the only way to do that was to take analog audio cables to multiple ports and individually plug it into an audio receiver. So we had to take apart the 5.1 surround system from right here in our old studio and take all of that equipment over to that venue and set it up. We ran into some fun little troubles there, and I took some notes that day to cover it. So when I got home, I realized that I had not rendered the movie. Yes, so right about the film screening time, I realized I forgot to render the movie. Back then, we were using mechanical hard drives on my old desktop, so rendering would take a while.
Because as you know, mechanical hard drives running an operating system are very slow.
Yes, and this was certainly back then. So I started the process and realized it would not complete until 7:30, a half hour after the scheduled start time. Realizing my mistake, I pushed the start time back to 8 and packed up the rest of the stuff. Once Christopher arrived, we went to the place where Tyler and Lexi had set up the chairs. We got the projector set up, for which I had to run to the shop to get the extension cords. This is the first of multiple back and forth trips on this day. We set up the speakers, for which I had to run to the shop again for wire cutters. That's right, we had to wire up the speakers ourselves and run new speaker wire, because we didn't have any at the time, to hook up individual speakers and put them around the room, because we had a 5.1 surround system that we had to set up in this empty space. Christopher went and got food and drinks and periodically checked on my computer. At about 7:15, 3 people showed up. These people had been convinced by Christopher to show up, and now we were keeping them waiting. The rendering was almost done, so Christopher and I rushed back to my place to grab the computer and some cooking oil for the popcorn. We got back and realized that we'd forgotten the keyboard and mouse. So Christopher ran back to get them. I then realized we also forgot one cord that would have made the 5.1 surround system possible, but Christopher forgot to bring his phone with him, so I couldn't get it. The 3 guests had to leave, so by the time we had the screening, there were no guests. It's like, but then I wrote, however, I am not upset. I expected this to go wrong. Certainly glad that we have another one planned during the summer, and I know that one will go smoothly.
And the thing I find funny about this is when I was in lunch the following school day, one of the people that was at the screening was telling her friends about how badly it went.
Yeah, it's like everything that we gone wrong did, and we were not prepared at all. I think we made, how many was that, 6 or maybe 7 trips that we took back and forth to our house and to the shop just to get equipment. So we had to run across town multiple times during the screening because we did not have anything we needed. So like now in the beginning we were optimistic, as you can see by these videos here of us driving in the truck singing songs from Joseph.
Ruby, olive, violet, fawn, lilac, gold, chocolate, mauve, cream and crimson and silver and rose and azure and lemon and russet and gray and purple and white and pink and orange and blue.
Go and stop recording.
Oh yeah!
Well, that was fun.
I understood the part about the corn, but could you repeat the part about the cows?
Mr. Burrow, man, please. Let me show you how we rock and roll in Egypt. I was born
Along the banks of the river when 7 fat cows came out of the Nile.
But by the end of the night, things were really wearing down, and we were very unprepared at the time to do what we needed to do. But like we needed to get that first screening out of the way. It had to happen. And it was one of those things where we were not going to be ready, but we had to do it anyway. And one last sword fight before we all pack up and leave from our not so successful first screening. But luckily we've learned our lessons and we're ready to go for the next one. But we definitely learned from that because we saw that we didn't necessarily need a big venue for every screening. Knowing the size of the crowd we'd be calling for, we adjusted accordingly, and sometimes we'd hold screenings right here in the studio.
Exactly. I mean, because this room alone can hold at least 10 people.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
And when we got to ready for screening our next film, Phil and Bahama's Great Adventure, we were a bit more prepared, but we still didn't have the upgraded equipment. We still had the old computer and analog sound system, so there was actually a power outage during the screening. The power went out during the screening for about 10 seconds. Came back on, but then because we had slow hard drives, had to wait 10 minutes for the computer to restart for us to be able to get back into the screening. So, yeah, it was still like a thing that wouldn't happen today with our modern equipment.
Exactly, because we have newer computers and newer equipment.
Yeah, we'd be able to get back online real fast now. And of course, we have laptops now, so we power outage wouldn't even stop us. But
henceforth, our computers don't use mechanical hard drives anymore, except for storage. They now use SSDs.
Indeed, they do. Another thing I remember from Phil and Bahama's screening is one of my friends who drove a Jeep offered to drive to pick up the pizza that we had ordered, and you went with her and got a ride in the open air Jeep. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yes. I think that was the Phil and Bahama screening.
Yeah, that sounds right.
By the way, how did you like the open air Jeep?
From Lisa.
Yeah. By the way, what did you think of that ride?
It was insane.
Insane?
What did you think of the words I said as we were leaving from Artelloni's?
Or you're like devil door or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was one of them anyway, because we had 3 show times for that one.
We did.
We had 3 separate show times, tried to space it out so more people could come, and I think we did get like 1 or 2 people attending each one. So for us, that's pretty good.
Want to have a good time today?
Yeah.
Come on down and see my movie.
Yeah. just being hard at Walmart.
Literally, like we were discussing like the details of the movie and everything. It was like, I'm advertising this movie like a whore advertises on the corner of a street.
We also made the famous dish that is seen in the movie, Phil and Bahama's Great Breakfast, which I guess we might serve up some of that in a future episode while we're talking about the movie, because we have some fun tales from that film, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do.
Our first public screening was the World War III one. But
yeah.
We did screen The Sticky Situation 3, but that was just for the cast.
Yeah.
We just called up the cast for that one. We had a little premiere event for that one. And then we had Phil and Bahama's Great Adventure. Then we get to the theater screenings, which we added some fun for the theater screenings. We did a one for Rocky Horror Show where I had all the props and shout-outs ready to go at our shop. That was a fun experience. A year ago from the time we're filming this was a screening set up at a real movie theater. And this show is interactive. The audience votes on which cast member is killed off at the end. And I had to figure out how to make that happen, that interactivity happen from a live show in a film. So when I'm screening it, I have to figure out how to get the film audience to be able to vote, and then figure out how I'm going to program which file gets played without having any interruption in what the audience sees. So while I was building that rig, then I had to make sure that it worked in the movie theater with their equipment, which is hard because I don't like when I can't manage all the tech in a screening, because then I don't know all the things that could go wrong with it. So I was hoping to have help from the staff there, and the manager assured me that the staff member that would be helping me was very knowledgeable. He didn't seem too knowledgeable at the time. It took him 20 minutes to get a picture on the screen, and even then he had to call the manager twice. And what he ended up doing was something the manager had actually showed me how to do while we were practicing. So I could have done it myself better than he could, and he works there. So I was a bit upset about that. And even then, even when we did get the picture on the screen, there was black bars on the top and bottom. It cut off the top and bottom of the frame, and it wasn't even the right frame size. But we just had to take it at that point because the audience was waiting. So that was quite a big event to set up, but the audience was still really happy. They enjoyed it. They were laughing and shouting along with some of the quotable lines in that film. It was quite a good experience for that. As far as film screenings go, I was part of the Big Muddy Film Festival while at SIU, and I was the one in charge of all the tech for all the screenings. That event consists of a week-long festival at various locations throughout the city of Carbondale, and we would host pop-up screenings there. Sometimes the venue would be a bar or another theater space where they'd have a lot of equipment already to just plug into. Other places would be like a cafe where we'd have to set up everything, the screen, the speakers, everything. So I had to plan out where all the equipment would go and make sure the files for the films were playable on the computers we had and were in the right order on a playlist so someone could just hit play and let it run. So I had to kind of automate the process and figure out where each piece of equipment could go. And I'll tell you, that certainly taught me a lot. I had a similar situation during one of those screenings to our first screening for the World War III movie, where the file wasn't playing right on the computer, and I had to run back to my dorm across town and render the file on my laptop, and then bring my laptop back and switch out the file while another film was playing, without interrupting the audience's experience. That was a rough time for sure. And I came in I think I got there 2 minutes before that film ended. So I really got there in just right on time to finish that off. But through those experiences, we've learned what not to do. And now I have a full screening rig that I set up at locations. And with HDMI and modern sound equipment, I can set things up really quickly with just a couple of cables, which is a lot better than what we experienced back then 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the final screening I want to talk about here today is Tyler's memorial screening. This was held in May 2018, and we hyped it up on social media leading up to it by posting some of the behind-the-scenes memories that we had with Tyler, some of our favorite behind-the-scenes videos, which we had a data loss a few months after that, and we don't have those files anymore. So the ones on our Facebook page are the only ones we have left. So, yeah, those were held pretty special by now. And we held it at good old Wallace Hall, which was a location above the Roxy Theater in Ottawa.
Yeah.
The entrance was behind, I think it's still there, it's behind the Roxy Theater. But it was a nice little space. And we're glad to have had it. And we invited all of Tyler's family and friends, anyone who knew him, to come out and see the screening, because a lot of his friends and family might not have known that he was making movies with us. And so we got an opportunity to show off all his cool work.
And it also gave me an opportunity to release a film that I was just finishing.
Yes, and it wasn't even quite done editing yet, as I recall. We had a little bit of feedback from it.
That's true, yeah, because the version that was premiered at the screening was rushed to meet the deadline.
Yeah, it was we had a test audience for that one, because it wasn't quite done being edited yet. And that one was Gideon's Story, which was another film we'll be talking about. We'll probably dedicate an episode to it. And we can dedicate at least a couple to Film Bahama, because that was a fun one. So, film screenings. You never know who's going to show up. It's a live event, and just like all the live events, we got to make sure that the show goes on. So when the show must go on, we got to have the tech knowledge to keep it on, and that's the story of how we started by stumbling our way through our first screening and learning how to manage the equipment by just completely failing the first time.
Yeah.
So tune in next time when we'll tell you more exciting tales from behind the camera. We'll see you next time.